Hey friends, it's Destiny with Fearless Ministries, and I want to talk to you about the big F word called fear. I wear this bracelet that says fearless, but sometimes I get so trapped up in the first few letters, F-E-A-R, I forget about the less part to be fearless. So we're going to talk about fear, okay? But first I want to tell you a little story, because you know I love stories. So yesterday we went out mountain biking, probably for the last time this season. It was so beautiful. I loved it, but I really hadn't been much this whole summer, because if you remember, I crashed my mountain bike June 1st, and down a ravine, had a little mild concussion and some whiplash, and it just like, oh my gosh, I was in so much pain. So anyways, I was totally afraid to even go yesterday, but I didn't want to miss out on being with my husband and being outside, and I thought, okay, I got to get back on track. I wanted to do this. So we went, and I'm glad that I went. And when we got out there, we're just riding along on the easy trails, and it's all great, and there's a few tight turns. I got really nervous, a little bit more nervous than what I usually did, and all of a sudden I thought, oh my gosh, if I crash into that tree, it's gonna hurt. And so then I had this thing in my head the whole time, oh my gosh, I'm afraid to do this, oh I can't do this, oh I don't even want to be here. And I just kept telling myself, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. I got this, I can do this, I'm not afraid to do this. But then there was that other little voice in the back of my mind going, oh, you're afraid, right? That little chatter, you're afraid, you can't do this, you're gonna get hurt, you're gonna crash, you're gonna do this, and you're gonna be laid up again. And I was like, oh my gosh. So then we were going down this one place, and there was a whole bunch of sand excuse me, and my tire just kind of kicked out from the back of me, and I was so afraid in that moment. I hopped off my bike right away, and when I hopped off my bike, I lost my balance, and I almost went tumbling down, and my heart was just racing. I'm like, I'm not gonna do this, I can't do this, this is stupid, why am I even out here, I'm not having any fun. And so every time I got to a hill, I would hop off my bike and walk my bike up or down the hill. And my husband kept waiting for me. He's like, honey, are you okay? Are you coming? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I didn't want to tell him that I was being a big chicken baby. So we get to this one part, and he's like, okay, let's go over to the roly-poly, I think it's called. So if you've been out to Lowe's Creek, you know it goes like this, up and down, up and down, up and down, a series of little tiny hills. And the track is like really small. It's like this. And on both sides, the grass was growing up really tall, and I couldn't see grass. I couldn't see what was in the grass on either side. When we went on our bikes out on the trails a couple weeks ago, I saw tons of snakes, and it freaked me out. So I was like, okay, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. I have to focus. And I've always enjoyed it. It's always been fun. So I hopped on my bike and let my husband finish first. I'm coming behind him, and my tire kind of skidded a little bit, and I was like, oh my gosh. Then I was like, what if there's a snake in the bushes, and it comes out? And I just kept looking for snakes. And then as I was gripped with fear of looking for snakes, and my bike was like, you know, kind of tipsy, and there was no time to stop, because you can't stop on that. You've got to finish it because it's up and down. And I was so afraid the whole time. And I just wanted to quit, and I couldn't quit. I had to finish it. Like, I had to make it through. And so I finally got to the end. I hopped off my bike. My heart was racing out of control. And all I could think of was, what if I would have saw a snake? What if I would have fallen off my bike? What if I would have gotten hurt again? All the what ifs, the what ifs, the what ifs. So we get to the next part, and we're biking along, and we're having a great time. And then we come to a part where it's a pretty wide path. It's a ski trail. So this is nice and wide, and it goes straight down and comes back out again. Now, I've ridden this so many times, and I've done it, and it's always been fun. I was apprehensive the first time, but I did it, and so it's always been fun. My husband went ahead of me, and I was paralyzed. Fear at the top of that hill. I couldn't do it. The leaves were covering the ground everywhere, and I started thinking, what if there's a snake under one of the leaves? What if there's sand under there? It's going to make my tires skid out again. What if there's a hole and I hit the hole and I flip over? What if there's a big rock and I'm not prepared for this? And so all these things were just going through my mind, and I did. I let fear win. I let it overtake me, and I got off my bike, and I walked all the way down the hill. One, it took longer. Two, it was really difficult because it was very steep to control my bike walking down it. And then when I get to the end, my husband was like yelling, honey, are you okay? Are you coming? I'm like, yeah, I'm coming. And he's like, you didn't walk down the hill, did you? I was like, yes, I did. And I'm so embarrassed to say it, but I was totally gripped with fear. I didn't know what was underneath the leaves, if it was going to hold me or if I was going to get hurt and fall off. So I started thinking, how many things do we miss out in life because of fear? The fear that we can't see what's ahead or behind or underneath the ground because the ground is unstable. It could be shaky or a pothole or something like that. So how many things in life do we miss out on? How many things do we don't even try because of fear? When, my husband went down, he was just fine if I just would have followed him. I did it before. What made this time any different? Except for I let a previous experience from a different location. It wasn't even on the same trail or the same kind of path that I was on when I had my crash. We're in a whole different place, a place that was familiar with me. And I still let that old memory from months ago, you could say I let the past, you could say it like that, I let the past rule my present. The fear of what happened someplace else in a different town, I let that fear take over me where I was at yesterday in that time in that place. And I let that dictate, the past dictate my future in that moment. And I just thought, wow, we do this all the time. All the time I do that. How many things have I missed out on? How many blessings of God have I walked away from because I was too afraid to take the leap, too afraid to take the jump, the plunge, to dive in because of that big, bad, little tiny F word called fear. Like I said earlier, I wear this bracelet, fearless, right? As a reminder not to live in fear, that I'm fearless. And I wear this cross with it as a reminder that in Jesus, I don't have to live in fear. And on the back of the cross, there's an anchor. And because Christ is my anchor. And then on my other arm, as you've seen me wear a bazillion times, I have this Bible verse. By his wounds I am healed. So it wouldn't matter if I would have fallen off. I would be healed anyways. I was last time, right? But that's the thing. I let the past, I let fear rule my day. And I let it take the joy out of it and the fun out of it. Now I know it's a silly analogy to make mountain biking and some leaves and some sand to our lives, but it's kind of a true parallel, isn't it? And on this arm, to get the last few days, I have wore the word grace. Yes, I'm in my bed. You can see my blankets. We were at a concert the other night and we were singing this song. It's all grace. There's so much grace. There's so much grace. So much grace. Give yourself some grace. Walk away from the past. God's given you grace. He's given you freedom. He's set you free. But so many times we choose to live in that prison of fear and that prison of self-doubt and that prison of shame. I don't want you to walk in fear anymore, my friends. I want you to walk out of it, and I want you to be fearless in all that you do and everything you do. Of course, I want you to be safe. But anyways, I just wanted to share those thoughts with you because as I was out mountain biking, those were the thoughts that were in my head. And I was like, I have to make a video about this and communicate it. So anyways, I love you all. And I don't want any of us to walk in fear. So let's hold each other accountable. Whatever fear you've overcome, feel free to post it down at the bottom of this video. I would love to know. And it would be encouraging for the people watching this to see what kind of fear you've overcome and how you conquered it. All right. I love you all, my friends. Blessings, blessings, blessings upon you. And remember, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. That verse is for you too. It's for every single person in this world. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. What things? Some things? No. A few things? Absolutely not. All things with a capital A-L-L. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. So next time I go out to Lois Creek, I am going to go down that hill because I know that I can do it. I've done it before, and I'm not going to let the past dictate my present anymore with anything in my life.